gets win #1 in OKN Stars.
On track or off, Brandon Jarsakrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsakrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsakracRacing.com.
Gee, looks like we're missing the engine. What the hell am I supposed to tag?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
You gotta make way. Okay, you're good.
I'm sitting by here with Kyle, our race winner. Tell me how you did it. You were blazing fast out there, and I mean, you don't even have a go-kart, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Norberg, Schmorberg, the Greyhound-powered Greyhound was great today. You know, it makes the difference. And the team's been working really hard back at the shop, and, you know, just shout out Greyhound.
Thank you, Kyle. How the f did you just win?
Doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and 0 sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson threw on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspect with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
You know, I'm really starting to like this go-karting thing.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, can I show you this cute dress I just got?
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
I just love shopping.
I love shopping too.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, did you guys say you like shopping?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Well, dude, I have the perfect place to do that at. ShopPayCara.com. At ShopPayCara.com, you can get free shipping on orders $200 or more. You can get anything you want, like MXC rims, gloves, rib vests, shoes, anything that you need, all at ShopPayCara.com.
Who is he talking to?
No idea.
But we're gonna have to check it out. Sounds like a great deal.
Sure does.
Welcome back for the afternoon session of the Apex Karting Championships. The Southeast Division continues to rumble here today on Kart Chaser. Happy to have you with us once again from NOLA Motorsports Park. I'm Justin Prince, alongside me in the booth once again is Taylor Burris. As we are in the 206 portion of our schedule, Taylor, this is where we get ready to see a lot of these competitors see where their karts are at, first of all. But second, this is where a lot of the grassroots campaigns come from. It's an opportunity for drivers to get into a good entry point. And it's built up a strong following across the country with a lot of competitors coming out for these classes here today.
Absolutely, and we are looking forward to it. I am seeing a lot of heavy hitters just in the Briggs Masters division that is heading out their way. Troy Tony, Brian Williams, one of the dominant drivers we see racing up in the Midwest section at Indy, as well as also up in Ohio at MCC. Got Chad Miller out there, Drew Galloway, Brad Davis, a lot of drivers I'm looking forward to seeing competing in today's action.
It's going to open things up for a lot of competitors. The guys in particular going to be interesting to watch for as well. One of the Bobby Krug machines, Krug machines, I should rather say, that we'll see a part of this field today. Already about a minute or so burned off the clock, and it's currently Paul Quinn, who is up at the top of the board, currently amongst these karts. One of the drivers that's had experience in Cup Kart self-competition, the 499 machine, who leads the way in this session. But already, some of the drivers 1 second spread amongst the top runners, and off the track goes the 401 machine. That's going to see them have to gather it back up and lose a bit of ground as a result of that mistake. It's so easy to do, it seems, at this part of the racetrack, is push off in some of these areas, and we've seen a couple off tracks, that area just as we've seen there today.
Absolutely, and I gotta say, it's gonna be a struggle to see because these cars here has trouble right here out of the final corner. That is the 479 of Drew Galloway looping it around. He's able to get around quickly and back on the right direction. Has more problems right there out of the final corner. Two karts stuck against the barriers. The 475 of Brian Williams and the 444 machine of Troy Tony. Some of your heavy hitters involved in the late stages of qualifying.
Yeah, two of your top competitors we see. Todd Barron was the driver who got around. Todd Barron, 401, is still going in session, by the way. You see here, so that off track did put them at least a lap behind everybody else in terms of the pattern, though. Put up some qualifying efforts. Todd Barron had won back-to-back CKA self-season championships in the Lexington Masters at one point back in 2022 and 23 in terms of some of his experience. And, of course, well known when it comes to his racing abilities, to say the very least, in CKA competition as a result here. Right now, we'll see where the first time for him comes through. How about a good jump that season to at least 8th? And he has contact! 404 hits him in the backhand machine. That's Megan that goes around, and several more scatter on as a result of the spin. The 479 of Galloway goes around with the checkup effect. A lot of grass over the track.
I'm kind of speechless right now. You know, this morning in qualifying, the warm-ups, it was a little bit calm, cool, collected, nothing crazy, and now we're kicking off the 206s with chaos pursuing for a lot of these drivers, having some issues out on the track. But yeah, I've been watching how much grass has been pulling up right there out of the S's before they head to the back straightaway. It has been growing ever more bigger and bigger as far as this patch of grass right here. You start it right as they come off corner exit. That is a lot of debris that could get collected on those tires.
It's seen a lot of drivers really how to be careful with that part of the racetrack as a result. Up at the top of the board, though, it's Brad Davis. 14th time being for now. We'll see if there's any major shuffles. The rest of your competitors, you see some of them grouped together in small packets like this one, involving the 499. That is the Quinn, who is up at the top of the board, working with Davis for the time being. Benchmark is a 51 flat. There was a 51.3 last time by for Davis. There's an uptime for one more time around for this grouping of karts. They come on through. We'll see if there's one more charge for Davis or he's hitting his peak here as the separation for the pole time is almost a full tenth of a second.
A couple of drivers have worked their way up. How about Todd Barron and Eric Fagan moving up quite a ways? Both of them picking up 5 or more positions in this qualifying session as they work their way back onto the back straightaway.
Exactly, and that's kind of what you hope to see towards the end of the session, at least, is some sense of improvement. Be able to constantly gain at the very least has to be the goal for a lot of these teams. Make sure they have some good speed at part of their organizational chart. To be able to have something to build off for the race pace. That's the major thing. As we'll see, everyone finishes out fully. Checker flag waves the 206 Masters. Here are the Briggs Masters finishing out Chad Miller, able to jump to second at the end of the session with his personal best over Fagan. Todd Barron, let's see if there's any change. No, there is not. For one of the series legends, Arwen up in the top 5. Lowen in 6th. Paul Quinn drops down to 7th. Andrew Root goes down to 8th in the session. Down into the 9th position goes Sagaius, and Drew Galloway gets a top 10. A lot of big names towards the back, at least from what we've seen in Kart Chaser coverage to the regional scene over the years, especially with Paul Ilry, Todd Davis, J. Brian Williams, and Troy Toney towards the tail here, Taylor.
Yeah, really good-ish run for some of these, but for Williams, Tony, Todd Davis, I mean, that is going to be a lot of work that's going to have to be done in these heat races for them to try to have the better starting position once we go into the finals tomorrow afternoon for them.
That's going to be the major thing to keep an eye on here for drivers, so we'll have to pay attention when things go for a lot of these teams. So our next grouping of drivers, though, again, a part of the inaugural weekend for the Apex Karting Championships, things kicking off for this series here in 2025 early on for the 2026 seasons, where competitors must appear in 2 Apex regional events. A chance to go to the Apex Karting Championships main final that will be down at Trackhouse later on in 2026 in the fall time. So next up in a rotation of cards today, that will see the micros hit the racetrack. The youngsters will get themselves good to go next. Spencer Hyde, who is also running in the KA engines in micro, will start up towards the front, potentially for this grouping. Keep an eye on his blue machine. 231 was top of the board in final practice. That gap, though, was pretty significant compared to some of the others. The gap upwards of more than a second over Nicholas McCarthy, Maddox Neves, and Ashton Petrie. Along with Landon Petrie, were down amongst the other cards in the field. Chandler Babin and Trey Sanders were also entered in. Babin was 6th in the warm-up session. And we've seen earlier on with the micros and the minis in particular, Taylor, that we did have some ability to break away, but that's going to be a little bit different with this platform, which with the 206 engines normally, depending on how the slide is in the classification, there is the potential for some of these drivers to quite simply lose the pack. That's because it's such a momentum-based kart when it comes to the Briggs & Stratton engine platform.
It really is. In fact, it's probably one of the most important key factors if you want to have a great run or finish is to keeping that momentum, that engine wound up and not get it bogged down whatsoever and try to stay in the lead draft. And given the fact of how some of these fields here are going to be small groups of karts here, it's going to be critical to make sure you do not lose the lead draft whatsoever. Some of the bigger classes, like we just had with the Briggs Masters division, they can have a little bit of wiggle room to where if they lose one pack, they can maybe have help from another that will help them propel to hunt down your competition. But these smaller classes, it is critical to stay in that lead draft to help you get the best qualifying time today, as well as also to stay in contention for your race.
So it looks like we're set to go for their qualifying session. Spencer Hyde gonna flare back a little bit amongst the order here. It's going to be the rest of the field rumbling their way on through. He was amongst those, the first to come out in this pack for this qualifying session. So as we get set to go, here is the answer of who's going to be able to set the pole here now. Now, as your preference here, keep in mind, this is going to be the interesting thing. What's your preference right now in terms of how you set up your qualifying lap, especially on a hot day like it is here, Taylor, and very humid? Do you want to be still amongst those in the pack? Do you want to get that separation up front? Do you want to get the pole from behind? What's your approach, especially knowing it's going to be very hot for these qualifying sessions, much hotter compared to the K8 engines earlier?
Well, right now, I would want to be tucked up, find a dancing partner, and get that draft to help you, especially on this long straightaway that we're about to approach right now as we see McCarthy and company leading on through this first group. We're having this two-grouper, then we'll have that single cart right behind, and then a second group of two. So having a dancing partner will be beneficial for you to set the pace in this qualifying session. But now it's starting to spread out a little bit amongst your two drivers we see on screen as they make their way through the infield. Trying to keep that RPMs up is going to be critical as we see who will set the first opening lap.
Height is towards the back end of this pack, by the way. That's why you see him well down the running group at the moment here. But it's McCarthy. It's the one that's leading this respective pack for the time being. McCarthy starts things off below the 223's pace. 10th quicker for names at the start. Petrie down in third, Landon in fourth. Babbitt is in fifth. There's a look at Height. Of course, wanting to get as much seat time as possible for his sake. He's the one to beat. He's already at the top of the board, just like that. Already up there by near a full second. Over the years, especially in the past couple, he's appeared in a fair bit of Kart Chaser social media clips. He's also, mind you, driver back in 2024 who was the Kid Kart champion of CKNA Grand Nationals 8.
You gotta love these young talents that are working their way up, and it's hard to believe. It's hilarious to watch. I mean, Justin, I know I've been doing karting announcing for a while, for a couple of years, and you also started with us earlier this year, late in 2024. But you pick up on some of these young kid kart drivers, these micro drivers, and start to see them move up the ranking, moving into the juniors, the senior categories, all the way up to their pro level drivers. And it's absolutely incredible to watch how they have been able to mature, learn their racecraft, and then work their way to be one of the top contenders in their respective divisions.
And it's interesting, in turn, who is able to translate that in the very end to say 206 senior / KA senior, or to the very high ranks to become some of the best competitors. It takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of mindset, it takes a lot of talent, it takes a lot of focus, it takes so much to be able to translate that over the course of these types of races, to say the very least. Looking right now at one of the victories as we go by the way, that was Ashton zipping by. And two family members had some double podium finishes in their experience here. Ashton in particular had ran last year in some various local races with M2 race team over the time in 2024. So some good experience at the regional level in the Texas Sprint Racing Series when it comes to Petrie. And also came away second in the Moore Park Raceway Cadet Championship, Ashton did, in fact. So it has had some good runs for those championships.
Absolutely, really good group of drivers here in this micro division as they come across the line. Spencer Height, still really impressive run. He's got a little bit of help from the 226 of Landon Petrie to help him with the draft as we watch this next group of three come across the line. And as they do so, no major changes. Still, Spencer holds on to pole position as Nicholas McCarthy moves up to P2.
McCarthy able to keep the pace together here from practice, as this is how fast Height is. He's already passed by several of the karts after being the furthest back out of everybody on his own. Start off the session, he zipped on by, and Landon Petrie. Landon currently holding on towards the back end of the group right now as we go. But Landon, one of the drivers that also is from the same hometown, obviously. Appeared in Grand Nationals competition, IKF Racing. It's also made some appearances in C. Kennedy South Racing this season. Part of the various different appearances, as well as some starts in the Texas Sprint Racing Series locally in the region. But with 10 seconds left, Spencer Height is back down to pace, but he's still running half a second quicker than everybody else on average. His fast time, 9/10, just about quicker than everybody on track. With the checker flag waving, Spencer Height, obviously the kart to be here for this class. Interesting. He's going to be able to adjust throughout this season. Spencer Height already setting the tone for this campaign, but the speed showcased early on here today. But the rest of the field coming across. McCarthy stays in the 53-1s. He stays in the 53-4s. Set his personal best for third. Ashton Petrie not improved from his 53-8. Landon Petrie running in the 55s. It's a 51.941 though for Spencer Height. He's able to fly up to more than a second. 2:06 micro qualifying session as a result of his last lap, able to get some clean space to end it off. And Petrie and Chandler Babbitt are at the bottom of the running order. So 2 qualifying sessions are done here on Kart Chaser for this afternoon sessions. We continue the afternoon sessions. The break coming up around the corner. We're launching the Apex Karting Championships, the Southeast region, kicking things off for its series history here in Louisiana.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and 0 sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
Our next group is on track, and this is going to be one to watch for. The 206 seniors. We have a lot of drivers ready to roll here today. 16 were on the entry list initially entering this weekend. We'll find out who's going to be able to come up with the top when it comes to this chassis here today. You have Cameron Reed among some of the starters here. You have Anthony Nunez to keep an eye on. Henry Wheeler again running. Thomas Schreck will be also in this field here. You also have James Overbeck, Colton Kelly among some of the various different drivers that are going to be a part of this respective pack here. I should rather say in the initial pronunciation, Sherrick. But these drivers ready to see if they're going to be able to share the draft and find a way to get to the top of the board here, Taylor.
Absolutely. It is a group of heavy hitters. 12 karts come across the line to start this qualifying session. Overbeck leading the charge here with this group. We've got a little bit of help from Yanuzzi, who is right behind in the 941. And then you have this gaggle of cars led by Levi Getz as trouble. One kart into the grass, around he'll go. And thankfully it's cleared up. It's a little bit drier conditions, but that is the 900 of Colton Kelly. Colton was looking so forward to coming out here this week. Talked to him earlier this week, and he was excited about trying out this facility and looking forward to it with the new team of New Gen Motorsports. But now he's got a little bit of work to do, and unfortunately starting tail end Charlie in the heat races today.
Let's touch upon at the top of the show when it came to morning session. New Gen, one of the teams that started back in 2022 that brought several drivers here that's worked with competitors like Kyle Kirkwood on the Formula car side. They plan to run most of the Apex season outside of Jacksonville. That's because of prior commitments to races out in New Zealand. But outside of that, expect to see those New Gen cars throughout this campaign. Right now, here's he at the top of the board over James Overbeck. Right now, it seems for now, Overbeck comfortable with his respective pack here. The top two, after all, have set the tone. We've seen earlier this morning in the KA engines that Overbeck was just that much more comfortable when it came to his speed in those battle packs. He's maintaining well, but some of the yards in the second pack responded with some 49.8s. You have Schwab amongst those who jump to the top. Cameron Reed, she jumps up as well.
Cameron Reed knows a thing or two about racing here. This is a home track for her, and looking forward to seeing what she can do here as she tries to work her way through in the 206 senior category. Regular also in the Texas Sprint Racing Series, as well as other CKNA events. Looking forward to seeing what she can do. Henry Wheeler picked up a couple of spots. Your top five is separated by less than a tenth of a second. Incredible racing and qualifying action we're going to have here today.
It's an incredible session so far, to say the very least, and it's really seen a lot of these drivers really turn up the wick, as you would expect when it comes to qualifying. Cameron Reed jumps up to the sixes, 1,000th quicker than Levi Getz at the top of the session. Now Levi Getz, his father actually reached out to me during the break to mention some of the experience with his side, in particular wanting to make sure it was emphasized that he did well in terms of CKNA's competition, was top 4 in that division in 2 different classes, in fact, was top 10 in CKNA Grands. Also is one of the drivers planning to run this whole entire self-campaign that PBK and BJ are backing. So Getz doing really good in this session, the 922 machine amongst those meddled into this pack. In fact, at the tail end of the lead group here. We'll see if there's any other shifts. Should see some changes possibly here. The way things have gone, actually not really. There was a few drivers who shuffled into third on back, but no new top time.
How about for a tie for third place right now with lap times? Alex Saculio and Henry Wheeler running identical lap times to your positioning, a 49.723 for both of them.
Zillow still holding on with a tenth of a second remaining times here, absolutely. But right now, see the attempts to push on forward at the front of the pack still. Working right now with drivers like Reed. Reed actually getting some chances to work the broadcast side of things with the CKNA Grand, with the Out of the Box challenge that happened, where essentially back in CKNA competition, allows you to be able to expand your outreach and try and have to build a motor package in X amount of time. James Overbeck, top of the board that time, buying the grouping though. Reed dropping down to second. Looks like it's going to be a shuffle at the head of the group as some of the drivers Reed want to test out how the field is in the heart of the pack to reset for one more time. Looks like we'll have time for one more lap after this one.
Looks like to be the case as everyone tries to find their right positioning, get in the draft, and hold on for the lap of your life here as they come out of the final couple of corners. It's going to be close. I have a feeling not everyone in this group will make it to make another lap, and in fact, no one will as they come out of the final corner. This will be the money lap. Here they come across the line, and no changes at the front of the field. James Overbeck will take the pole position here in your 206 seniors.
Looked to be like they were going to get an extra lap, but they missed it by just a couple seconds. The entire field shows some disappointment. But it's Overbeck, Reed, and Depps who are in the top three. Then it's going to be Jackson Miller, Schwalm in the fifth position. Guzilo in sixth position. Henry Wheeler down in seventh. Again, Mark in the middle of the pack today. He started off strong, working at the head of the field. It didn't work out in the end after things grouped together. Then you have Sherrick, Kelly, Nunez, and Brazier were down in the order. Colton Brazier right behind Nunez on page 2 of your order. So that is going to be our third qualifying session complete here, Taylor. Lots of senior drivers looking like it's going to be awfully competitive if it is anything like that qualifying. In terms of some of the lap times, it might be hard to see some true separation. We might see a whole pack battling back and forth.
Absolutely. I mean, your top 8 is separated by less than 0.4 of a second, and you pretty much saw all of them lined up nose to tail for those last couple of laps in qualifying. It's going to be an exciting heat race here for your 206 senior category.
And with that being in mind here, as the drivers make their way to pit road, our next grouping of drivers is the Minis that will hit the circuit. The Minis, how do they warm up? It was Camellia, not sure who was out the top of the board. The 52.91, Ruben Greer in double duty in second, Liam Ford double duty in third. Then Bo Stowers, followed by Ryder Thompson, Mikey Todd, Robert No. Then you have Colin Miller and Firestein, who is also a double duty driver for the way they were lined up in the warm-up session. And keep in mind, some of those names mentioned off there have a lot of local backing that are looking to try and back things up. You talk, for example, Mikey Todd, that 6th place driver just referred to, had actually won that club championship for his respective class at Moore Park Raceway in Lafayette, Louisiana. You also throw into the mix some of these drivers like Robbie No had just picked up some season city championships out in Alabama that are looking to carry things over from K1 circuit, interesting enough, over in that respective city and have the chance to go on to the Nationals depending on how things go in the state championships there. So a lot of drivers with varying backgrounds and learning experiences in this class in some of their first years in karting.
And that's what's so great about kart racing, if you think about it. You could have not a whole lot of experience in any different level. You could start off by running rentals at your local kart track, working your way up, and then of course there's some who utilize the K1 platform running in their leagues that they host every week around this nation. And I gotta say, it's a great opportunity, and work your way up, find a way to make the right connections, and you could come out here and be racing in the Apex Championship.
So the drivers continue to get themselves prepared here, just a few minutes out on the schedule. Currently, the scheduled start time, for reference, is going to actually be in the next 15 seconds per that schedule. See the last of the drivers and crew members get the heads up to be able to roll for this session. It's our 4th of 5th qualifying sessions. Remember, we are going behind the paywall after the 5th qualifying session, the heats. Be sure to keep an eye on that in Kart Chaser. Subscribe today, $9.99 a month. Get the premium membership. You can get yourself access to racing from across the country. Be able to watch the top karting drivers in their discipline go to work. Catch that again premium. So qualifying for the minis now gets underway. So the pack gets sorted out as quick as possible here. Right now you see already a few of the drivers working to their small little packs, but for the most part, staying in that choo-choo train, Taylor, that we've seen all so prevalent in 206 as a couple drivers actually making some passes because they want to jump up the line.
Yep, everyone wants to get in their proper positioning, get themselves ready to go, and start their first flying lap across the line to kick off this 5-minute qualifying session. And already, drivers feeling like I want to lead. That is going to be Camila Canche, who is going to try and move up into the lead cart and get the push that they need down the back straightaway. Then you have Parker Firestein right there with Mikey Todd, Ruben Greer and company, and 9 carts set to do it here as they come back into the end of the straightaway and already side by side. Not what you want to have happen here in this quali session.
They're going to cost you that respective lap in terms of potentially putting something down, but remember, when you add up the amount of time, you have maybe, give or take, 7-8 laps to be able to do something on the circuit, but it requires being in the right position at the right time, because if you aren't in that right position, Taylor, we've seen it's so hard to recover times. The biggest movers in a lot of these races have been a couple spots. It's not as easy for some of the drivers here today, at least what we've seen, to be able to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots have come from back to front.
Absolutely, and as we watch them on here heading down, talk to Ben No, which is Robert No's driver, currently sits P9. This is his first opportunity at the track, at this particular facility, as well as being out in a regional or national competition. He's hoping that his son will learn a little bit more his racecraft to prepare himself and get himself ready. Still got a little bit of work to do, but he's got some help with his crew over there at his paddock. He's looking forward to making a good effort here as one driver goes off the track. Is able to continue on, but keep an eye on Robert No, who is steadily carrying his way in qualifying.
No towards the bottom of the board, but that's about to change here. Ruben Greer goes to the top a bit. We keep an eye on the 114 of Ryder Thompson, who is currently the middle cart in terms of this qualifying session. Ryder Thompson, drivers from the North Florida Kart Club. That's appeared in some various races. We've seen that name pop up, for example, over the years. So going to be someone to keep an eye on. I've also seen that name pop up at the sportsman level at CKA Winter Nationals in recent times from Jacksonville, Florida. But so the thing is, for some of these drivers, they've had a long trek to get here for many of these cases. We talked a lot of cases about some of the drivers coming over from the Midwest. You're talking about all over from the South. Drivers coming on through, whether it's from Texas, whether it's from across Florida, parts of Georgia. There's been a wide range, a wide net cast of drivers who have been attracted to this opening round of this series and being a part of Apex.
Absolutely, and if you think about it, the next 2 rounds of the championship are going to be based in both Atlanta at Atlanta Motorsports Park and also over in the Jacksonville area at the same facility we were just talking about, the North Florida Karting Club. It's going to be an interesting championship to how these drivers at, and we're already seeing some of these drivers are local favorites at those prospective tracks. So it opens the door to where maybe you're not that used to racing at a track like NOLA, but you know your next track is a home track advantage, so it gives you that opportunity to be like, hey, I know how to get around this track. It gives you a better chance for a better finish and better results.
Canche, she jumps to the top of the board over Todd. The pace together here. Been a good start when it comes to Mikey Todd, within a couple 100ths of the pole time. But Greer, difficult to beat as well with how things are going. Greer leading the pack. About a year or so ago, had articles written about him being a karting champion, raising up to the ranks so far. Picked up a couple championships in 2024 at AMP, as mentioned, the kart racing championships over there. He's also someone that had described this type of racing when it comes to 4-stroke racing as where drivers sit in each other's draft, kind of like NASCAR, but have seen people pull away with raw speed over the time. Greer, with the clean air, pulls to the top of the board once again and continues to set the tone.
Really good lap right there by Ruben Greer as he tries to hold on. Same thing with the rest of the competition. Your top three separated by less than 1/10 of a second as they're all lined up on screen, working their way through. And we should get maybe one more lap here. This could be coming to the checkered, but we'll see how this all plays out as Greer tries to stretch it out a little bit more with help from the 128 machine.
Trying to sort out where these times are going to fly up here in the very end. Let's find out. It's going to be close on the marker. 2-1. Believe they may have just gotten one lap just by 1 second. Ganache set the faster time though over Todd. Greer fell down to third. Ryder Thompson, Bo Stowers, Liam 4, Robert No, Parker Firestein, and Colin Miller all did not make it around. Believe if they so choose at the front, they may go again. But you see right now, here's where the times are. 31 thousandths is the difference. Kanache over Todd. Greer, 76 1,000ths back. Then Thompson, Stowers amongst the top 5. With 4, No, Firestein, and Miller. The rest of the running order here today. Keep an eye on the rest of the board to see if there's any other changes. Believe they're going to potentially just finish up the session here, Taylor. Quite simply, it was close. And the top 3 are on top each other on pace.
Absolutely, really good effort here, and I gotta say, this Briggs mini category is gonna be one exciting class to watch when we go racing here in a few minutes. And I gotta say, Justin, we're gonna come back here. When we come back, it is gonna be the Briggs Junior category for the final qualifying session next here on Kart Chaser.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Join us for the biggest kart racing convention of the year, the 40th OVKA Kart Racing Trade Show and Swap Meet, Saturday, January 24th, Roberts Center, Wilmington, Ohio. Whether you're into sprint karting, dirt and oval racing, road racing, unlimiteds, or vintage karting, there are deals here for you. Shop our 60,000 square foot show floor, filled with the karts, parts, and supplies you need. Network with kart racers of all disciplines from across the country. Get insights from experts at our performance seminars. Visit our Intro to Kart Racing open house to get started in racing. Visit OVKA.com. Vendor registration is now open. OVKA.com.
Hey, what's up, Caleb? What's up, Brandon? You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
It's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Karts are now rolling for our final qualifying session of the afternoon. The 206 juniors are ready to roll for their session. Prince Taylor Burst with you here on Kart Chaser as it's time to hippity hop onto the racetrack. So, How did things go earlier on for their warm-up? It was Holden Harder, actually, who led the way in the warm-up session over Tyrone Kemper Jr. Jet Price was top 3. Daniel Dragunov going to be a potential contender in 4th. Leon Mole in the top 5 in warm-up. 16 were registered, 14 took part in the practice session as one driver spins at the very back of the field. That's an eventful way to start off a qualifying session, a good loop-de-loop. And just like that, it's going to be no draft, essentially, at the back of the field for one of these drivers, Taylor. Not how exactly you would plan that up.
No, it's not, certainly indeed. You don't want to have that happen here, especially in these 206 categories. Drivers now have to reset themselves up, settle in, and get ready for these next 5 minutes, and we'll see who sets pace here as they work their way onto the front straightaway to start their opening qualifying.
So it's going to be Richard Wazinski who leads things up on the front of the field as they make their way on through. That was Nico Corpita, who was the driver who went around in their respective spin. So 15 did make it on the racetrack. One of the competitors who did not take part in the final warm-up is part of this qualifying session. A lot of drivers to keep an eye on, in particular in this respective grouping. It's going to be wild to see where these drivers go. Curious on, say, Max Hudman, one of the drivers who is a part of the city championships from K1 Speed. Yet again, building up a lot of experience on that side for a state championship. Also amongst the many who is competing in their one of their first races. Their first ever was in Jacksonville back in September. They were part of the order here that are trying to keep up with the locals like Tyrone Kemper Jr. and up at the top in second. Holden Harder jumps right behind him to start things off within 3/10.
Absolutely, and you hear a lot of scraping going on as they come down in this corner. I'm picking up a lot of scraping up underneath the rear of some of these carts. Kind of curious to see if that's going to be affecting the handling as well as they get themselves going. So keep an eye on that for some of our competitors as they work their way around the circuit. But just hearing a slight bit of scraping as they come off that back straightaway.
Yep, and keep in mind, drivers just trying to maximize the speed around here to have the best track position possible. Harder's 8:57. Still looking to hold on second as they make their way through. Morrill jumps to the top of the board over Jack Price. Drivers like Kemper Jr. and Harder drop down a couple positions, to say the least, all the way down to 5th and 6th respectively. Harder from Wisconsin. Once those things see their plummet this time. But right now, Price working the Mole racing machine. Then Mole versus Cooper Mole, who's down in the 9th position. That experience over at Newcastle in particular. Seen them run a fair bit at the regional level over the years in their respective karts. And also experience and CKA national events over the years. As a bit of an up track slows up the pack.
Yep, just a little bit of a checkup right there. Compresses the pack back together, and now we'll see how this settles up as they come across Holden Harder to the top of the leaderboard with Daniel Dragunov. Tyrone Kemper Jr. drops back to 3rd position as a couple of other drivers have picked up a couple of spots. Nico Corpati, who we saw have that spin, he's moved up a couple of positions as well as we watch this little grouping here heading down into the corner. And they'll settle down, try to see what they can do as Holden Harder maintains the pole position for the moment.
So the main thing is right now, pretty clearly, you need to be able to keep it clean. And right now, that's what this main group has done at the very least. You're seeing how some of the drivers just making sure they stay tucked up, like Kemper Jr. and company, have just make sure to maintain them for now. This time through, Harder stays in the line, keeps himself up front behind Kemper Jr. Harder, driver who's picked up a CKA North Championship when it comes to the sportsman side over his racing career so far. One of those who actually started off at age 5 over at Sugar River Raceway and Patrick Kart Club. That's a long way to come to take part in a race down south here today, but what else can you say? As some of the teams said when speaking with Kart Chaser officials entering this weekend, Taylor, you kind of can't race the karts in a snowstorm.
No, you can't do that. I mean, you got to come out where the weather is a little bit more better for racing conditions, as we do have a black flag given out to the 808 of Juju Sivakumar. That's the third time they've given him a black flag, too, so that is not a good situation for him in this qualifying session.
Yeah, a couple of them popped up there for the 808 machine. So obviously something going awry. They were running 12 in the qualifying session prior to that point, but this is going to be the end of the qualifying session coming up here. Have to find the time right now. Keep in mind, Kemper Jr. and Harder have stayed working together to close up the gap to the lead kart on the racetrack this entire session. And it's such a big margin, the 807 of Richard Rosinski. And they have caught right back up to the blue kart. Now we're going to try and make a pass on them, in fact. This might cost them a chance to up the time from the pole for Kemper Jr. It does. He lost a tenth after the pass. Well, Harder lost 3 tenths, but they still hold on 1-2. Harder up top, Kemper Jr. in second. Drag it off. Able to get to third. Price and Leighton Mull once your top 5 in the session. Next, Hudman, along with Levi Midor, top 7. You also have Wyatt Taudo along with Cooper Mole and Alexander Clemens amongst the top 10 here, Taylor. Your thoughts on qualifying as it comes to a close for this afternoon?
A lot of great drivers have made some great qualifying attempts here. The question is going to be, will the clean air be their friend to help them stay ahead of the competition? Well, we're going to find out in the heat races in a few moments' time. So make sure to be a KC Premium member, $9.99 a month, to see the afternoon session of heat races for today's competition.
With that being in mind, we'll take the break. We come back. We'll continue on with the action. You're watching Apex action here on Kart Chaser. We continue from NOLA